Am I going to talk about Mighty Ducks Game Changers in this review of the original Mighty Ducks? Hopefully not. That's my goal, to not compare the two, because I did watch the first episode of that show, and I don't need to talk about it. Anyway. So, Blockbuster review, if you haven't seen it before, I play a single game of Tetris Marathon and talk about a movie before I get 150 lines, or the blocks reach the top. Spoilers are at line 50. I don't think it'll matter for this movie. So back in the early 90s, there was a film for children out there that I have a deep appreciation for, and it's getting new life in the form of a television reboot on Disney+, and I am talking about The Mighty Ducks. Now, did I watch The Mighty Ducks because of that new television reboot? Maybe. You know, maybe I did. And does it hold up to modern viewing? I'll talk about that in a second. But the real question is, am I going to talk about Mighty Ducks Game Changers in this review of the original Mighty Ducks? Hopefully not. That's my goal, to not compare the two, because I did watch the first episode of that show, and I don't need to talk about it. Anyway. The Mighty Ducks is the story of Gordon Bombay, who the beginning of the movie opens up with him as a child, as a little child man, loses the big game for his coach, where the coach just looks him straight in the eyes and says, "Hey, if you miss this shot, you're not only letting me down, you're letting the whole team down." You know, a great thing to tell a child before the most pressure he's ever going to feel in life. And he misses the big shot, and then it immediately cuts to him being a ruthless, horrible lawyer, where he's using loopholes and shitty behavior to win another case where he claims he is undefeated as a lawyer, and then when his assistant tells him, "Well, what about that one case?" He's like, "It doesn't matter, I scored with the lady." So he is not a good dude. He is not a good dude at all. And that's what I love about this movie. They paint him as a complete asshole. He gets into a drunk driving skirmish with the police. Skirmish, that makes it seem like they fought. He just got pulled over and he started cracking jokes that were very inappropriate for a children's movie, but not in '92, baby! And it was pretty funny. Because he is working all the time, and the company he works for, the Ducksworth, which is very important, they tell him he has to do probation and community service for his sentence. And the probation they give him is coaching Pee-wee hockey. And spoiler alert, you know, it's a classic kids movie where he learns to open up and be a good coach and be good to these kids. But the film also includes stuff I wanted to talk about. So I'll get this part out of the way. I think it holds up. I think it's good. I think some of the jokes are great. I think some of the jokes hold up very well. There's very progressive moments in it, like, because there's females on the Pee-wee hockey team. What the fuck happened with that T-piece? What on earth are we doing here? There's very progressive moments because there's girls on the team, and at one point, the coach comes into a room. He's like, "Okay, guys, let's have a talk." And he goes, "People," and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's cool for a movie from '92." There's also very, very weird race commentary in it because two of the characters on the team that we like, the Ducks, when they're District 5, which basically means they're the poor team that can't afford uniforms or anybody cares to put them in uniforms. They call them the Oreo line. Lines in hockey are groups of players that come out together and play with each other, and then they have change up on the line where they change up the players. Look, I don't even know all hockey jargon, but the point is they call them the Oreo line because there's two black players and one white player, and it was out of fucking nowhere and out of school for a children's movie, and they just said it in the middle of this one, and it was from the team that's clearly the affluent, rich white team. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Mighty Ducks, does it hold up? Yeah. That's why there were 2 sequels, and their average isn't amazing, but they're not terrible in my opinion, but they are kind of terrible. I wanted to talk about the shit I never noticed when I was a kid, like the odd commentary on socioeconomic status. Now, there is kind of this thing going on in hockey, and I'll keep in mind, I am not a hockey head. I do appreciate the brand Violent Gentlemen, mostly for the band Every Time I Die. I'm digressing so hard and I don't have time. Anyway, hockey is a very expensive sport. There's a lot of pads, there's a lot of stuff you gotta buy, and kids who can't afford it, basically, you ain't playing. And because there is a correlation, you know, in certain communities of different ethnicities and socioeconomic status, it's implied in this film that District 5, the district that Gordon Bombay gets, is basically the poor kids. And they just play hockey to do something, but they're like, instead of pads, they have like literal rolled up copies of a newspaper or a magazine. So Gordon Bombay, one of the things he does is he convinces his boss to like sponsor this team. It turns out the team that is his big rival in the Pee Wee games is his old team, which has the same coach who's a fucking asshole. That's what I also love. I love sports movies with kids where the villain is a fucking prick. And like there is nothing redeemable about this guy. He's a dude like telling kids to like hurt other kids. I love that shit because fucking, you know, that guy fucking exists. That dude exists now. We have not grown as a society past fucking old men telling children to hurt each other for sports glory because this is how far they got in sports. Like, it was so awesome to see that in a movie again, where instead it's like, oh, he's misunderstood, he doesn't understand the love of the game. Fuck you. There are some dudes out there that are just goddamn pricks, and this dude is one of them, Jack Riley. And there's this unspoken implication in the Mighty Ducks that the rich kids are on the Hawks, who always fucking win. And there's even a point where they bring up like, hey, you know, the district lines have changed and your best player shouldn't be on your team. And they subvert the rules to keep him with his rich buddy friends. And if that isn't a great commentary on things that happen right now, I don't know what is. And it, oh my god, it's so, like parts of that movie are so good. You make me want. You know what? I will say this. I think The Mighty Ducks is a good kid sports movie if you don't know about watching kid sports movies. It's very funny. They don't treat the kids like babies. They treat them like kids that would like pull fucked up pranks, that curse, they don't give a fuck, that can be disrespectful. And the kids in this one are going up against the rich fuckers, and the most important thing, one of the insults that gets thrown around is cake eater, which I think is supposed to be kind of an implication like a Marie Antoinette, like let them eat cake bullshit. So there's something about this movie that's more than just kids' jokes and sports, and that's why the Mighty Ducks endure. And it's one of the reasons why, if you happen to watch Mighty Ducks Game Changers half of it, words. It means that if you watch Mighty Ducks Game Changers after watching the Mighty Ducks, you might be disappointed, like I was. But it's fine. Different generation, different Mighty Ducks, different goal than the original Mighty Ducks, and that's fine. Anyway, we're done talking about the Mighty Ducks because I finished the game. And that's how Blockbuster Reviews works.